Nobody wants to be talked to like the client number 17346 or whatever. They want to be talked to like who they are. I want to be talked to like I'm Ryan Young and I have a story, and I think everybody does. And taking a few minutes to actually listen to what people are going through and how it's actually affecting them in their day-to-day life, I think is really important. My mom was an attorney, and she has been practicing law for almost 40 years up in Atlanta, where I grew up. Went to school there, born and raised. Me and my best friend actually in high school started taking a trip around the entire Southeast to try to figure out where we wanted to go to school for college. And we got out to the University of Mississippi, and for some reason we just loved it. Spent 4 years in undergrad there and had a great time and got a good education. And then I decided to stay and go 3 more years for law school. I guess part of it was probably my mom being a lawyer and actually my dad being a police officer too. So I was always kind of ingrained in the law. It made dinner conversation fun. But actually I met my wife in law school too, at Ole Miss. We ended up actually taking the Georgia bar together and moving back to Atlanta, moving close to my folks and everything, and we lived and worked there for a while. My wife one day woke up and wanted to be close to her parents down in Windermere, where they live. So we packed everything we owned up in a U-Haul and drove down here. Right as I was moving to Florida, my brother was killed in a motorcycle accident. Up in Georgia, actually, as soon as we had moved down. So that was at a point in my life when I was really trying to decide what I wanted to do in Florida, and changing jobs and changing my life and everything, moving down here with my wife. And I think it made the decision pretty easy to go into that, to really try to help people that and help families that have been subjected to some pretty terrible tragedies. So far, I really have been able to do that too, and I count myself pretty lucky that I'm able to help some people that I can kind of relate to. The camaraderie here is unlike anywhere else. Everybody is friends before they're law partners and, attorneys and staff that work in the same building. At DWK, everybody just cares. I care what happens to the people that I represent. I care what happens to the legal side of things. I care what happens to them physically with the injuries that they're dealing with. I want them to get better. I tell almost every one of my clients, first and foremost, we want to get you better. And then we'll take on the legal side of things. But we want to make sure people are getting the treatment they need. We want to make sure that people are feeling better, so then we can go on and try to make them whole financially. Not everybody's calling us on their best day. In fact, almost nobody is. So we want to be able to speak with people and find out how this bad thing happened to them. Once we speak to somebody for the first time, and if we determine that this person has a potential case that we might be able to help them with, we usually bring them in for a face-to-face meeting and sit down with them and really get to know them more and figure out what's going on with them currently. Because a lot of times when people call up and want us to represent them, the accident or the incident didn't necessarily happen yesterday. A lot of times these people are 8, 9, 10 months, even a year past when the incident or the accident happened, and we kind of want to see what life is like now for them. Are they getting better? If they had severe injuries, are they healed? Are they still treating with a doctor? Is it something that we can help them with in directing them to somebody who might be able to help them that they're not aware of? If they are better, figuring out kind of, what they had to pay and how this affected them and the pain and suffering that they did undergo for the months or years possibly that they were affected by this injury. There's no downside into calling in to figure out what your possible case might be. We don't charge for any sort of consultation or anything like that. So if you're waiting around to see whether, you think you might have a case or you think the injuries that you sustained might be someone else's fault, there's really no reason to not call and find out.